So hello friends, in this video we are going to discuss about the sensors in different application areas. In last video we have seen about the position, displacement and level detectors of various types. Now in this lecture we are going to discuss about the velocity and acceleration sensors. So velocity and acceleration, obviously these are the terms that are associated with the position. So position or displacement, we can say that. So position, velocity and acceleration are related with each other. So velocity is the first derivative of the position and the acceleration is the second derivative. So if I consider that the displacement is there or relative position is there, that relative position, if I take the first derivative, I'll get the velocity, and if I take the second derivative of that one, that means dv by dt, that is nothing but an acceleration. So that you will be finding it out, and we need to find it out, the velocity and acceleration. So on the basis of position we can calculate it. So acceleration, obviously it is a dynamic characteristics of an object because it is a second derivative, and in noisy environment taking the derivatives may result in extremely high error, because when you take the derivative you are actually taking it, you are actually separating it out, making a part of that one and separating it out, so that may cause higher errors, and the system becomes a complex and sophisticated signals conditioning is required for such kind of system. So obviously the cost is going to increase. So to avoid that, there is need to design a specific velocity and acceleration sensors for special applications. So we cannot go for a position or displacement type of transducer or a sensor, then converting it into the first derivative and converting it into second derivative to get the velocity and acceleration. So instead of that, because that is going to create a high errors and sophisticated signal processing is required. So to avoid that, we may be designing a special type of sensors. So there are special type of sensors or various applications that can be used when you are using the position and displacement. So when you are using the position and displacement, you will be using the sensors which will work on a low frequency, or it's operating on a low frequency. Then if you are going for a velocity, then the intermediate frequency applications you will be using, and when you are going for the acceleration, you will be using a high frequency sensors for various applications. So you can see that for position and displacement you will be using low frequency, for velocity you will be using intermediate, and for acceleration you will be using high frequency. So velocity, that is a speed or a rate of motion, it may be linear or angular. So you might be finding a linear velocity or you might be finding a angular velocity. So angular velocity, we will call it as a omega. So a basic idea behind many sensors for transduction of velocity or acceleration is measurement of displacement of an object with respect to some reference object. So this is what, whenever you want to measure a displacement, so you want to measure a velocity, so first you have to measure the displacement, and that displacement will be with respect to some of the reference object. So many velocity and acceleration sensor contains components which are sensitive to the displacement. That means the sensors which are sensitive to the displacement can be deployed in velocity and acceleration. So in velocity sensor, the moving magnet through coil of a wire will induce a voltage in a coil according to Faraday's law, and the voltage is proportional to the magnet velocity and the field strength. So let us consider that the field strength is constant, the coil length is constant or coil turns are constant, and if you move the magnet, that magnet velocity will generate the voltage in a coil, and that coil generated voltage is proportional to the magnet velocity. So the velocity sensor, both ends of the magnet are inside the coil. So what is considered that the magnet is inside the coil and both the ends, that means south pole and north pole, are inside the coil. With a single coil, obviously the output will be 0. So you have to use the two coils, coil 1 and coil 2. So the north pole will generate one voltage and south pole will induce another voltage in another coil. So this is how you will be generating the two voltages in one coil and second coil using north pole and south pole. So the two coils are connected in series opposite direction. So phase is opposite. So to obtain the output proportional to the magnet velocity. Now how it can be done? So it is similar to the principle of LVDT. The only difference is that LVDT is an active sensor, whereas the velocity sensor is a passive sensor, because here you are not giving any external excitation. In case of LVDT, you are giving the excitation voltage. So that's why it is called as active sensor. And this velocity sensor using permanent magnet, it does not have any excitation voltage that is connected to the coil. That's why it is called as a passive type of sensor. Now this sensor is a current generating device which does not need any excitation signal. That's why it is called as a passive one, and this is how you will be getting the voltage at the outside. Now here the coil is connected and this coil is connected in opposite to each other. The phase difference will be there. Now this is the ground is there and this ground is here. You can see that if the ground is here and this ground is here, then in that case we can say that the coil is in series, but now the ground is in opposite direction. That's why the coil is in opposite direction. So whatever may be the output you are getting here, that output will be proportional to this one. Now this N and S pole, so when it is at center, no movement is there, output voltage generated will be obviously 0, because V1 will be generated over here, let us consider that, and V2 will be generated over here. So V1 and V2 are equal. But when you move this either upward or downward, obviously the flux linkage will with coil 1 and coil 2 will be different, and that is going to vary the V1 and V2, and the effective voltage V, that is the output of this, will be proportional to the movement of this magnet. So this is how you are going to measure the velocity of the magnet, and that velocity is proportional to that displacement. This is going to create the output at and that output is proportional to the velocity of magnet. So the characteristics of the accelerometer should be determined by its sensitivity, the frequency response, the resonant frequency, zero stimulus output, and linearity. So these points, so whenever you are designing or whenever you are selecting accelerometer a sensor, then in that case what you are supposed to find it out. So these are the main 5 characteristics you need to consider. So the first characteristics is sensitivity, frequency response, resonant frequency, then zero stimulus output. That means whenever you are not giving any stimulus, output should be 0, and the linearity of the device. So that is very important. Now there are different types of accelerometers are available. So today in this lecture we are going to see the 2 types of accelerometer. First one is the capacitive accelerometer, and the second one is the piezoelectric type of accelerometer. And there is one more special device that is called as a gyroscope. In coming lectures we are going to see about the gyroscope. So today our focus will be on capacitive accelerometer and piezoelectric type of accelerometer. So capacitive accelerometer, we know that what is the capacitive principle. Capacitive principle is C is a function of C is a function of, what are the functions? It is the function of cross sectional area, it is the function of distance between the two plates, and it is the function of epsilon. So that is nothing but a dielectric constant or dielectric present between the two plates that is going to affect the overall capacitance value. So I can say that if I keep this E and A constant, and if I am going to change distance D, so this is going to affect my capacitance. So the accelerometer requires a special component whose movement lags behind the accelerometer housing. That means whenever you are putting the accelerometer sensor and it is connected to the accelerometer housing, so that is coupled to the object. So if let us consider that this is the wheel to which this is coupled with this one, and you want to measure the acceleration or the velocity of this wheel, and you can easily find out the acceleration. So you can easily find out the speed also. So that is connected with this one. So this housing will lag behind the actual moment. So you need, whenever you are coupling with such kind of devices, so accelerometer require a special component. So displacement transducer can be deployed to generate the electrical signal as a function or as a proof of acceleration. So here you need to measure the displacement, and that displacement is converted into accelerometer. So the component usually is called as a seismic or inertial mass. So it has its own inertial mass, it has its own inertia, because of that it lags, and that component which is connected to this one is called as a seismic component. So the suitable displacement of a displacement transducer capable of measuring the microscopic movement under the strong vibration or a linear acceleration can be used in accelerometer. So whenever the displacement is there, and that displacement small vibrations, so or a strong vibrations, that will cause a microscopic movement in the plates, so that can be measured with the help of accelerometer. So acceleration, you can convert it into acceleration. So capacitive displacement conversion is one of the proven and reliable method for this one. So capacitive acceleration sensor essentially contains the two components. First one is the stationary plate and second one is the moving plate, and that moving plate is connected to the housing. Okay, so a moving plate is connected to this one, and second move is connected to the fixed one, that is called as a stationary plate. So these plates form a capacitor whose value is a function of distance between the two plates. So whenever the housing will move, the inside housing there is a movement, so that will reduce the plate displacement, and that is going to change the overall capacitance. So what is the value of displacement that you can measure with such kind of accelerometer? So the capacitive accelerometer, you can measure it up to 20 micrometers. So you can measure the displacement of 20 micrometers with the help of capacitive accelerometer. So an additional capacitor is formed in the same structure to compensate the drift and various interferences. So if you want to compensate the drifts and various interferences, we need to add the additional capacitor in the circuit. So this is going to reduce the drift caused because of interferences. Now these two capacitor, the second capacitor, it should be subjected to change of 180-degree phase shift. So in capacitor 1, let us consider that the capacitor 1 is your capacitive accelerometer, which is producing certain phase shift because of these interferences. Let us consider it of 90%, 90s. Then 180-degree phase shift will create, so 180 phase shift degree will be totally out of this one, and that will create the 270-degree out of phase, and that will cancel each other. The effect of drift will be cancelled, and whatever may be the vibration is there, that vibration will be measured accurately. So acceleration can be represented by the difference in the value of the two capacitors. So the capacitive accelerometer, where the internal mass is sandwiched between the upper cap and the base. So the mass is supported by 4 silicon springs. We will see the diagram so you can understand it. So this is how actually the mass is there. This is the upper cap, this is the upper cap, and this is the base. So there is a distance between these d1 and d2 with respect to this mass. So this is d1 and this is d2. So if it is fixed, so d2 is remain to fix, but when you push, whenever there is a velocity or vibration is there, this is going to change the d1, and this is going to change the distance between d1 and d2 also. So that is going to change the overall distance, and you can put, so the two capacitors are put like this and two capacitors are connected in a horizontal direction. So this is, and these are connected with a spring. So there is a spring between these two, there is a spring between these two, there is a spring between these two. So whenever the vibration is there, so that is going to change the distance between these. So the change, there is a change in distance between these two, there is a change in distance between these two, and overall distance between these is going to change. So this is what the concept used for change in the displacement, and that change in displacement is proportional to the capacitance, and that is proportional to the vibration, and you can measure the vibration. So the upper plate and the base are separated from its respective distances d1 and d2. So the three parts are micro machined. So these capacitor or these sensors are generally manufactured using micro machined from silicon wafer, and a capacitance to voltage converter is required. So whatever may be the change in the capacitance is there, so you need to convert the C to V conversion. So most of the time C to V conversion, you can use the oscillator devices where you can convert the change in capacitance to the frequency, and that frequency is proportional to so here is one circuit which is used to connect, which is used as a C to V converter. So this is what the circuit is. So this is connected with the upper moving part, and this is with the base. So this total capacitance is going to change, and this is connected to the operational amplifier, and that is going to change. So this is how your capacitance will get converted into the output voltage, which is proportional to the difference between these two, okay, or the effective capacitance or equivalent capacitance that is caused because of the displacement. So when the accelerometer serves as the input capacitance to the switched capacitor, the summing amplifier, the output voltage depends upon the value of the capacitor and subsequently on the force. So this is given by V out is equal to 2E. So E is the voltage here that is given to these transistors. So CMC minus CMB divided by CF. CF is the combined effect, and this is what you will be getting the V out. So you can see that the V out depends upon this CMC and CMB, and CMC and CMB, that is caused because of that the previous circuit we have seen, the dimension is going to change, it is going to change the capacitance, and obviously that is going to change the output voltage. So this is how the accelerometer works. Now next one is the next accelerometer is piezoelectric accelerometer. Now we know that the piezoelectric material, whenever there is a vibration, so the piezoelectric material works in two principles. If you give the excitation, it will create the oscillation, and if you make or if you put the piezoelectric material or object to the vibrations, it is going to create the output voltage. So that charge is generated, and that charge generation is in the form of voltage, and that voltage is proportional to the vibrations or the displacement that has caused on the surface of your piezoelectric material. So this is what the principle that we have seen, and the same principle is used for sensing the vibration and acceleration. So the effect of direct conversion of mechanical energy into electrical energy in crystalline material composed of electrical dipoles. So we know that electrical dipoles, so whenever the piezoelectric material is there and that piezoelectric material is aligned, whenever you are putting in a particular pressure or mechanical force or mechanical energy, so velocity, acceleration, all these are the physical, even though it is a physical quantity, but it is in the form of mechanical energy, so that gets converted into electrical energy. So that is what the piezoelectric accelerator does. So we have seen already such kind of principle. So either we can put so this is what the piezoelectric material is, and if you put a force in this direction, or if you put a force in opposite direction, so you can see that the charge developed will be plus and minus, and if you put the opposite force, the charge developed will be plus and minus, so the polarity gets different one. Or similarly, depending on the cuts, so if you put a force in this direction, then the charge developed will be either here it is plus and here it is minus, and if the force is opposite, the charge developed will be plus and here it is minus. So in any direction you go for, and alignment of these dipoles, electric dipoles, will be accordingly done, and the charge developed on the surface will be accordingly, and you can measure the force that is acting on, so that force may be vibration or acceleration. So generally these piezoelectric accelerometer sensors, they operate on the frequency as low as 2 Hertz and maximum of 5 kilohertz. So the question may come in examination that what is the operating frequency for piezoelectric accelerometer. So it may be from 2 Hertz to 5 kilohertz. So the piezoelectric material is generally used for piezoelectric accelerometers. These are barium titanate, lead zirconite titanate, and lead metaniobate. So these are the materials that are generally used for piezoelectric accelerometers. So barium titanate, lead zirconite titanate, and lead metaniobate. So a crystal is sandwiched between the case and the seismic mass. So this crystal is sandwiched between the case and the seismic mass, which exerts the force proportional to the acceleration. So we know that F is equal to ma. So this is the Newton's second law. You might be remembering it. So we are going to see it in detail, or we are going to discuss it in whenever we'll see the force type of sensors. So F is equal to m into a. So if mass is constant, I can say that the force is proportional to acceleration, or acceleration is proportional to the force, vice versa, right? So this is how I can use the principle of acceleration using the force. So the force proportional to the acceleration. So this comes from this equation. Okay. So this is how exactly your crystal is here. So you can see that your crystal is here. This is the crystal. This is the crystal. This is the crystal. This portion is of crystal. This is the mass. So this mass is fixed. This is the case, and the crystal is here. So whenever the mass is there and that is going to put a pressure, so whatever may be the pressure that will come, that pressure will put a pressure on this mass, and that will create the voltage. That voltage will be proportional to the force applied, and that is proportional to the acceleration. So in miniature sensors, the silicon structure is generally used for the thin film of lead titanate deposited on micro machine silicon cantilever. Now this is a machine sensor used, a mechanical type of sensor, but if you want to use a miniaturized sensor, then you have to put a lead titanium field which is deposited on a micro machine silicon cantilever. So for a good frequency characteristics, what we are going to search for, we are going to search a piezoelectric signal is amplified by a charge to voltage or current to I to V converter, which is generally used or built into the same housing of the piezoelectric. That means uh, the circuit is directly connected to I to V converter, because the charge is converted into current and current is converted into voltage. So this circuit is implemented in a cantilever itself, uh, silicon cantilever itself, and you can get the directly output. So this is how the piezoelectric accelerometer works. And there are another circuits that is called as a gyroscope. In most of the nowadays you will be using this gyroscope in most of the applications to find out the x, y, z position of your devices. So such kind of application you will be finding out. We will see this kind of gyroscopes in the next.